Welcome to Ancaster. We are Lion's Heart Family Martial Arts, being joined by owner and head sensei, Marcina. What a beautiful space. I love how excited the kids were when we came in today.
Oh yeah, they're so pumped to be. They get to miss school. Of course they're here, and they're excited, and they're ready to go.
They get to miss school. They get to do something they love. Now, I know you go from kind of all ages, but let's start off at the basics, like the little guys, the cubs and the kids.
Yeah, so we've got our Cubs program, which runs ages 3 to 6, ideally. Sometimes we move them up early because they're ready for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, our Cubs program is mostly based on fundamentals.
Okay.
You get your respect and your discipline and the thing that that everybody thinks about when they think about martial arts.
Yep.
But it's also the balance, the agility, the ability to listen.
Yeah, because I'm like thinking like 3-year-olds in here with their little belts and their keys. How cute is that?
Yeah, it's adorable. They actually, some of the kids are so small they don't make uniforms that small.
Oh.
So then you get the really tiny ones that are drowning in their uniform. And it's probably my favorite thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, we start that young. A lot of schools don't start till 4 because of that 3, oh my God, like you said, 3 years old. Oh my gosh, it is. It's very little. But I find from experience, I've been teaching for 15 years now. I started assisting when I was 13. So, but I've noticed that they do better down the road when they start younger.
Yeah.
Part of that is because of our expectations and what we set up, but part of that is because it's just more natural for them. I started when I was 3.
And it just made sense too.
It has just stayed my entire life.
It's incredible, how you're such a sponge when you're little. So they go from cubs and then they go to kids.
So yeah, if they work their way, we have one cub right now who has he started when he was 4. I believe, and he worked his way all the way up through the Cubs belts, and is actually in the kids program before the age of 7 because there's nothing left for him in Cubs.
Yeah, he's got to move.
And even then, I had to delay him because his parents were like, the schedule doesn't work with us right now for him to be in the bigger class. So even delayed, he still managed to work through those before he outgrew them.
Wow.
So when that happens, or even when they turn 7, their next belt is not white, but the second lowest kids belt, which is yellow.
Okay.
So they'll go all the way through the Cubs belts up there.
Yeah.
And then they start at kids yellow, and then they work through those.
Well, I love the enthusiasm that these guys are giving us, not just because they got taken out of school, but because how much they love martial arts. We're going to come back and we're going to show you more moves. Maybe even I'll learn a move or 2, maybe. But there's lots more coming up from Lion's Heart Family Martial Arts here in Ancaster on Morning Live. We are back at Lion's Heart Family Martial Arts here in Ancaster, and as we're watching these kids do amazing things, we want to kind of discuss the different types of martial arts, because when you think of martial arts, some people just think karate. They think the Karate Kid, like you were saying. But there's so many different types. What do you guys focus on here?
So we focus on there's 2 different systems that we focus on, the Goju system and the Shotokan system, and they're actually polar opposites. Shotokan is mostly offensive, and Goju is mostly defensive. But you put those together and you have a whole system. But that being said, the group behind us here in red, those are some of our BBT kids, and they're focusing on self-defense right now.
Okay.
Which, at the end of the day, everything is self-defense, but these are specific one-off self-defense drills.
Okay.
And most of our self-defense is actually based off of judo.
Right.
The throws that they're doing right now, that kind of stuff is all judo, the wrist locks.
And now when they're incorporating this, like they're not going to move up in a belt when they're doing the self-defense class, right? This is kind of like a separate entity? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, the way we run our belts is every 3 months we do a mass testing.
Yep.
And in reality, it's more so a formality, the testing, to push them, not to test what they know, because I'm not going to set them up to fail something. They're not testing if they're not ready.
Yeah, of course.
So it's just more of a mental push.
Yeah.
But yeah, our BBT program kids, it's an invite-only program. They don't get invited to it until at least blue belt, which is about halfway through.
Yep.
And even then, sometimes they don't get in. It's not a guarantee. It's based on what they show me in class. Do they want to be here? know,
is it something that they have a drive to learn?
Yeah, exactly. We get kids that have a drive to learn, but then we get kids that, you know, have a drive to learn and they want more. So those are the kids that we see and we get invited. And I get kids, how come I'm not in BBT? All right, this is what you need to show me. And sometimes they'll step up and sometimes they won't. But either way, it doesn't affect whether they get to black or not. It just opens up a couple more doors, weapons, different self-defense moves. Stuff like that.
For sure. And it's that extra little bit of activity and exercise. And let's face it, like, kids need that.
They do. They really, really do these days.
Because as much as they're learning the discipline and the art and the theory of it all, like the exercise and the cardiovascular muscle strength
100%.
that martial arts gives you is next level.
Yeah, for sure. I often say, like, I was in my prime at like 13.
Yeah.
Because it was just, I had grown up doing it. And you know, now being an adult, I don't have time for things.
Yeah.
I still train, but I'm not where I was as a kid.
No.
My cardio is not there.
Yeah.
I can do it, but it's not as easy as it used to be.
Well, make sure you stay with us because there's so much more fun stuff coming up from Lion's Heart Family Martial Arts here in Ancaster. I have to say, the sayings that I'm reading on your walls are so inspirational. The first one that I saw was, be the leader you would follow.
Yeah.
That must resonate with a lot of people.
I am huge on inspirational quotes. I'm that cliche person.
That's okay.
No, but I do love them because it relates, it gives me a way to explain things to the kids because it's very hard for kids to understand sometimes what we're talking about. But I find they understand quotes like that really, really well. That one is smack at the front. That's where our leadership team lines up at the beginning of class.
Okay.
And it's there for the students, but it's more so there for our leadership team, which they're all over the floor right now. Sensei Harley and Sensei Diana have the full black uniforms like I do.
Why do they look like their children?
So, yeah, Diana is 20 now. Sensei Harley is actually only 15. Normally, my requirements for the full black uniform, it's nothing special. The uniform itself isn't anything special. We use it to signify to the kids who's in charge of class.
For sure.
Normally, my requirements for that are your black belt and your 16.
Okay.
We actually ended up doing Harley's earlier. We surprised him with it.
Oh, that's nice.
Because he has been teaching with us since he was 12, 13, and he is fully capable of leading classes on his own.
That's incredible.
And then we've got our kids in black jackets but colored pants, and those are our leadership team members, not necessarily our staff and sensei.
I see, okay.
So we have a leadership program. We have ranks in our leadership program. The higher your rank, the more you're responsible for.
That's amazing.
I grew up in a school where we had a leadership team, and it was great. It's the reason we're here now.
Well, it makes such a difference, I'm sure, for the kids because they see these children that are close to them in age, and they aspire to be like them as opposed to having a bunch of adults
100%.
in here being like, well, that might be unattainable. I can't get to that. But then they see kids that are just a couple years older, their peers.
Yeah.
Oh, this gave me goosebumps.
Yeah. They love the ones that are on our leadership team. It's a choice. It is not mandatory.
Yep.
Once you get to green, you can start teaching if you want. And the ones that teach absolutely adore it.
I bet.
The skills that I've heard parents tell me that they're taking skills from their leadership here
and applying it at school.
in their friend groups, in their group projects. And it's just not with technology these days. Like we talked about earlier, kids have to get outside. It's the same thing. They don't have opportunities like this anymore.
No.
It's at no extra cost. If you want to join leadership, you join leadership. A lot of camps do like LIT programs where you're paying to volunteer.
You don't want to do that.
No, they're here to help me with classes.
Yeah,
I'm not going to make them pay.
Yeah.
I love what we do.
Yeah.
If they love what they do, that's enough. So.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, they love teaching. They're good at it. And the ones that are not great when they start, they progress. That's the whole point of the program.
Yeah.
We meet once a month, and we have a meeting about, I teach them how to teach.
Yeah, okay. Well, coming up, we are going to show you a couple of the moves that they can do with some of their weapons. You're seeing a little showcase of it right now, but it gets next level. So make sure you stay with us because there's so much more coming up on Morning Live.
There we go. Go.
Don't limit your challenges. Challenge your limits. Yet another really good inspirational quote. They are all over the room in here. I love this.
Yep.
Talk to me what's going on here.
So we've got weapons going on right now. I get asked a lot about Like, why do you teach weapons? Why do you teach bow? No one's carrying around a big stick.
No one's gonna walk down a dark alley with a bow.
Exactly. That statement's not wrong.
Yeah.
However, change your perspective of what these are. Broomsticks, branches.
Yeah.
You know, we see it in movies all the time. People grab what's next to them and they use that, and this is the start of that.
Yeah.
We get fancy with it for fun, but also to learn body control. The form that they're doing right now is a lot fancier. It's advanced, and a lot of people look at it and go, "How's that going to help?" It's not going to help self-defense wise. It's going to help body control wise. They learn how their body moves.
Right.
What works with it and what doesn't, because it's a martial art.
Yeah.
It's not school. There's no black and white.
Yeah.
Everybody has their own twist on it.
Yeah, it's different for everybody.
Yeah.
Now, how can they use something like this, like when you've got kids coming in here and, you know, it's not just for fun. If they want to use skills like this later in life, how do they apply those?
It's a simple matter of muscle memory. I get a lot of requests for, oh, can we do a self-defense seminar with your school? We'll do it. We'll come in. We'll do a self-defense. We do it for Girl Guides all the time. The issue that I have with that, and I make everybody abundantly aware, is one time is not enough.
No.
This is something that they should do lifelong. Like, I've been doing it since I was 3. Harley's been doing it since he was 9 or 10.
And you have a little guy
now.
in here too. That's
Nathaniel over here is 12, I believe, 11, 12 years old now. And he's been doing it since he was in the Cubs program. He actually just got his black belt last year.
Wow.
Yeah, it takes a while for a reason.
Wow.
And these are skills that leadership, confidence, you know, and then discipline, agility, balance,
Respecting
all stuff.
authority.
Yes, absolutely.
Like, this is why my children are in Taekwondo.
Yeah, it's things that I wouldn't be who I am if I didn't grow up in a setting like this.
Yeah.
You know,
and it's a safe setting, and it's a challenging setting, but it's a fun setting at the same time.
Yeah.
Like,
And
they
we
have
take
such a good time.
Kids, adults. We have an adult program too. But everybody from all walks of life. On the spectrum, physical disabilities, it doesn't matter, because it can be modified, and it's better to know some kind of self-defense than none, because, oh, I can't.
Yeah.
I have this issue, I have that issue. Yeah, no, you can.
I love it.
Just work around it.
No excuses.
Well, yeah, no excuse.
No excuses. Well, thank you so much for having us today. We've learned a lot. We've seen a lot. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. You were all so wonderful. If you want more information on Lion's Heart Family Martial Arts, you can head to their website, their Instagram page, or you can check us out on chch.com. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.